Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event. All right, good morning. Who do we
Good
have in
morning.
studio? Justin, how are you?
I'm fine. Inspired mostly. How about you, Mr. Davis?
Doing good. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same.
So today I'm doing some office hours with Grace. I didn't have any excuse today. I'm no court to be in today. So before I get going to visit some friends and family and hang out, I thought Grace and I thought we'd do an office hour session. So Justin, tell me about yourself. What city and state are you in?
I'm down here in sunny San Diego. Actually, part of it is La Jolla, and life is good.
Well, very good. Now, do you have a CPS case down there?
uh, I I'd like to say I don't, but I actually do. It's just that I'm not the offending parent, so
Okay.
it's kind
Well,
of
you have a case.
yeah,
You
I
have a
do.
case. Now, is your court in Meadowlark at Meadowlark or
It's here in San Diego. I can get the documents to find out, but it's
was
definitely here in San Diego.
well? Have you been to the San Diego court?
No, I did everything remotely, same way, like just
Okay.
hopped on Zoom and just made sure the hearings and everything went good.
Well, San Diego has at least two juvenile or CPS courtrooms.
Okay.
There's a bunch of them in what they call Meadowlark, right next to Rady's Children's Hospital, and then
Hmm.
there's one courtroom I think in the East County in El Cajon.
Okay.
They used to have another one in the South County, but I think that closed.
Okay. I can find out for you for sure. Like I said, I did everything remote. It was really just kind of um the lawyer hit me up, said, "Hey, we're gonna have everything remote. Um, it's fine if you just tune in remotely," and that's how I handle it.
Now tell me that you have your child in your custody.
I do,
Okay,
100%.
perfect. Perfect. So, do you have any complaints or questions or issues you want to
It's
ask me?
really, yeah. It's the thing is, I mean, they these social workers, or a few of them, or just the organization is in general, they're like how Rick James would say, they're like habitual line steppers. Like they, if you if you don't if you don't set up the boundaries for them, they will definitely step across the line. So yeah, I literally was here. Me and my daughter was, having a good day. It was a Friday, and she just showed up. Now, mind you, let me preface everything. So I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I did 8 years honorably, got out, and with this PTSD and stuff like that, I'm good. Everything locked on, not crazy whatsoever, despite their not their claims, but like my ex claims. Um, she went in, and either her or her mom made a claim against me. It was a false report based on, they didn't know that I had a medical marijuana card, and so because of that, they wanted to say, "Oh, my daughter's in danger." I'm like, bro, what the hell? So they sent CPS out here with the social worker. She came over on the claim, not even aware that um, I had a medical marijuana prescription or whatever from an actual doctor, or PTSD or anything like that that goes along with it. They made a big fiasco out of it, and in that challenge, I still was compliant, but it was just, the whole time I had been cooperative. It was just the idea that if I'm cooperating, why is it that you guys think you can come in and just do whatever and, just disregard my rights? Like illegal searching and my right to privacy. So it was kind of frustrating. And so the big thing in that was I told this representative about that, but I still let her in just under duress to tell her like, hey, I know my rights here, but I'm complying just on the, on good faith to show you like there's nothing going on. Man, my daughter in here chilling, everything is good. She went through searching the house, talking to my daughter, then she came back, show me where your weed at. I'm like, what? That's not how this works. And then she's like, oh no, I just want to see and make sure that it's, it's out of the way. I'm like, okay. So I just showed her just on, like I said, good faith. But then as I start actually citing the actual law and how it works, she seemed like she wanted to uh, get the hell out of Dodge really quickly. And so it was just kind of weird how she did it. I managed to get her card, and I told her, I said, you guys can't overstep my rights in this. Your policy at work, I don't work there at CPS or whatever the DCFS. I don't work there, so I'm not subject to you guys' policy. You work there. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a client here. I'm just elected to services that I didn't even get put in. I didn't elect to them. I was just thrown into the box with it, and so I said, okay, I have a right to privacy. I have a right to, resisting illegal searches and things like that. And I said, this isn't right. And so I sent in a report. Actually, I sent because I wanted to get a copy of that report to see what was said on it. Because from what it was framed up to be was substance abuse. And I said, how is that substance abuse, bro? If I have a prescription for this. I don't even have to tell you guys this, but I'm doing it on good faith to show like, okay, whoever said this sent this in, it's no different than I'm in here streaming on like when I'm playing my games or when I'm making music or if I got like other directors in here and we're discussing stuff for films. It's like I'm not going to be swatted. Like you can't just call. I mean, you can call the police over here, but if they know that I'm here, and that's a thing. That's a thing on social media now, where people will have like the police come to your house and completely get swatted. But in this case, it was CPS, and so she was cordial for the most part. I got her card, and it was just distasteful. It's like, dude, I'm not even a problem parent here. Like how are you guys trying to say that it's in the interest of the best interest of my daughter, but yet you're coming in here trying to find reasons to make me a criminal or in some way a bad parent. And I said, okay, I got a problem with that. And so here I am. I've been doing the research.
Well, let me tell you something before I forget anything. Well, let me ask you this. You said you're a retired Marine.
Right.
How many years did you do?
8 years.
Oh, wow. And what was your MOS?
0651 tactical data and 0811 field artillery. So if I wasn't blowing it up, I was hacking into it.
Wow. Are you in the reserve now or are you out
No,
completely?
no, I'm out. Like I thought about going back in because all of these degrees, man. But I kind of just been riding the waves now and just doing my thing as a producer.
What was your highest rank?
Sergeant.
3 stripes?
Yes, sir. Three
Uh,
strikes up, cross rifles in the center. Hi yet.
where'd you do your basic?
Paris Island, Paris Island, South Carolina, and
Oh,
MCRD Paris Island. Yep.
oh, you're
I
a
went
real
in
Marine.
2003. Yes, sir. I'm not a Hollywood
Real
Marine.
Marine. You're
Yes,
not a Hollywood
sir.
Marine, huh?
Yes, sir.
I was an Army brat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
My father, at the age of like 19 or 20,
Hmm.
was standing in a criminal courtroom about to be sentenced.
Oh,
And the
wow.
judge said, this is illegal now, but back then it wasn't. The judge said, Mr. Davis, you have the choice of going to jail or joining the army. My
You
father
went
said,
to the
well,
army.
we'll be joining the army.
Smart
And
man. Smart
it,
man.
it was during the Korean War.
Oh, wow.
He was on a boat. He was in the infantry. He was on a boat on his way to Korea.
Hmm.
And, the Chinese had just entered the war. So the Chinese were overrunning, American positions because they have 1 billion people.
Hmm.
You know, those 50 cal machine guns were melting, literally
Hmm.
melting. And my father got boat comes alongside and asks for volunteers. He's in an all black unit.
Oh, wow.
Asked for volunteers. And my father thought, well, if I'm going to go out, I might as well go out with a bang. So he
Right.
volunteered. He volunteered. He said,
Wow.
next thing he knows, he's in Japan being trained a military policeman
Mm.
because at that time they don't have enough black military policemen.
Hmm.
So while he was in, he served tours in of course, the Army. He was a Navy SP.
Oh
He
wow.
was a Marine MP, and
What he did? Like wow.
he
He
was
hopped.
he was an Air Force MP. He didn't hop around. What happened was they didn't have enough black guys who were military policemen at the time, so they
Hmm.
shared him. They didn't want to make too
Wow.
many black guys military policemen back then, so they shared him. So I have pictures of him in all these uniforms.
Hmm.
And he ended his service. He was stationed in Japan, where he met my mother and where I was born.
Oh, nice.
I was born on an Air Force base, Johnson's U.S. Air Force Base. That's not even there anymore. It's like
What's
part
it
of
called again?
Johnson's U.S. Air
Johnson.
Force, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
not there anymore.
Right.
It is now part of a shopping center and parking lot.
Hmm. What?
Yeah,
Wow.
there was a time, you might be too young to remember this, but there was a time when there were American bases all over Japan, and then Japan got upset and they wanted to start cutting American presence out or down.
Hmm.
And Johnson's Air Force Base was one of the bases that bit the dust.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
I was actually born there on that Air Force base.
Yeah. When's the last time you been to Japan?
Um, about a year after I was born,
Hmm.
we lived there about a year after I was born.
Okay.
And then my father was, making plans to get out, and we came here to Los Angeles. And my mother and my father and I lived with my paternal grandparents. And he was still in. He ended up extending his duty, and he was on. This was his duty. He was a sergeant at the time, and he was plainclothes. He was carried 45 with 2 clips
Oh man.
and a letter D cachet. Do you know what a letter D cachet is?
A letter D. It sounds. If it's a cache, is it ammo? Or is it either ammo or like some type of grenades or something?
No,
Yeah.
it's a letter signed by a 4-star at the Pentagon.
Oh what?
And it says, you must, if you're a federal employee or armed service member, you must do whatever this man asks you to do. So he was in charge. He was one of several teams in charge of security, checking security at nuclear installations. Now this
Wow.
is like during the mid '60s, right?
Right. So
So
that's
this
big
is
news. That's
right, right,
big,
right.
big, big action.
So he and his team would show up at airports, Air Force bases, wherever, and like just hop on planes to go wherever. No reservations. Just here's my letter. We're going to Hawaii today,
Mhm.
or we're going to Germany, or we're going wherever. And that's what he did for the last part of his career at the time. And I don't think it's like this now, but at the time, CID was in charge of security for nuclear installations. This is during the '60s. I think it's
Mhm.
now a different detail altogether, and
Okay.
every branch has their own. But things change in the military over time. I
Mhm.
don't know if you remember this, but there was no Air Force during World War II. It was Army Air Corps,
Air Corps. Yep. I remember the Air Corps. Yep.
and then
Yep.
they became the Air Force, a separate branch.
Hmm. I tell you what does actually blow my mind now is Space Force. This is what actually made me
Oh
consider
yeah.
wanting to go back. Yeah. It was one of the reasons that, but here's the catch. If I do it, there's the hack in it is I think the latest you can go in, I want to say it's like 41, 42, something like that. But the Army has this reserve. It's not even a reserve. It's an active officer position, but you can go back in and they're actually training Marines now for Space Force. So they're essentially like Space Marines and an Army Corps that deals with like space expeditionary like units and whatever. So I'm like, man, that'd be pretty epic to do, you know. And then there's always private military, but I've just gotten so deep into like the entertainment industry and like, just back for sure back to school. I've been trying to get up there at USC for the PhD or whatever, and it's just been a challenge. Like having to deal with all this stuff is so man.
You know what? You should talk to your lawyer about filing a motion or a petition, a 388 petition, to close the case. If the case is closed because you're non-offending and you have custody, they can give you a family law order giving you custody, joint legal, sole physical, giving the mother some type of monitored visitation. And
Right. Well.
if she ever wants to fight you for that or get different visitation, she can go to
Mhm,
family law court and do it. But you can
mhm.
close the case right now, with the judge's permission, of course. The social workers probably won't want to close it because as long as it's open and they're giving services, family maintenance services, quote unquote, to you and family reunification services to the mother, they're charging the federal government tens of thousands of dollars.
Hmm.
So they like to keep the cases open for a little while. They like to max out on the money and then they'll
Mhm.
close the case. But you have the right under the law to close the case right now.
Oh wow. Like I will be like excluded from the case because like
No,
from what I
no,
can understand.
the case would be closed completely. No more social workers. The
Wow.
case would be closed with what is called a family law order, giving
Okay.
you custody, probably joint legal, sole physical, mom monitored visitations. And if anybody wants to change that, like the mother, she'd have to go to the family law court in San Diego County to change it.
Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
that's what you want to ask your social worker, excuse me, not your social worker. You want to ask your
The
attorney to
attorney.
do.
Yeah. Well, they
And
had
it's,
me scheduled in January the 23rd for another hearing, but from what I can understand, it's what you're saying where either they're going to determine like the finality of the case, but it'll be here in the 20 around the 23rd of January. And so, I mean, but I'm
yeah,
open to do it.
but you want to tell your attorney that that's what you want. You want the case closed. Because
Okay.
from what you've told me so far, you're not getting any benefit from the case being open. Is there ever a benefit for a person like you to have the case open?
Not at
Rarely.
all.
No, rarely. Sometimes. But for you and what you've told me, there's no benefit. You should ask your attorney to file the paperwork to close the case. Now, the mother and her attorney, of course, are not going to want that,
Mhm.
right? They probably want to get the kid back.
Mhm.
By the way, um, when you have a medical marijuana card, it always looks better for you. But in California, you don't need that anymore.
I
Marijuana,
know.
marijuana is legal.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I know that. I just do it because in this instance, they were trying to come in here and say like, "Oh, well," I told them, I said, "Dude, even if," and this is what I told that social worker, all of them. I said, "Listen, I know my rights in this. Even if I had six plants in here when that social worker came in and they were just out bloom, full bloom, y'all couldn't say anything because I have that, you know." And they were like, so obviously they were like all butthurt about it. But I said, whoever made that claim, that's technically a false claim. If everybody wants to talk about federal law and all of these different regulations that they have to follow, don't skip that one. That was a false claim that was used to come violate my rights. All I need to do is get a copy of that report for the evidence, kind of like in discovery, to show them, like, hey, look, okay, based on this evidence right here, I'm showing that this was a false claim made to come in here on the premise of a false report that was made used to violate my rights. You said you wanted to talk to my daughter. I complied on the premise of showing, hey, okay, good faith. You see that there's nothing going on. But by the way, if you're going to do this, if you're going to violate my rights like this, now I got a problem. I want to know what the report said because if at this rate people can keep making these same,
Oh, yeah.
frivolous claims and they'll just come at random times. Oh, well, we had a claim about this and so we're coming to investigate the report. I said you don't have anything. On every angle, you don't have anything. And my only issue now is that they've been trying to make me go to different classes. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even, why do I have to go to detention for somebody else's screw up?
Right. Well, they want you to go to the classes because they say it will help the child. But
Right.
the reality is they get paid more money if you do the classes.
Hmm.
They get to bill the federal government for giving just in parenting or counseling or substance abuse.
Wow.
So I hate to say it, but we live in America. Everything's about the money. This is a capitalistic society. And
Yeah.
you think your government is trying to do what's best? That government entity is trying to make money, just like you, trying to make money. Many years ago, when I left college, I became a certified public accountant in California.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a large international accounting firm, and one of the biggest clients in the LA office where I was the county of Los Angeles. And there's this whole industry and thing about something called governmental accounting.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get into it, you realize that these governmental entities are trying to make money. They're trying to feed at the federal trough and get money from the federal government and get money from the state government, get money anywhere they can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So th- people think that governmental entities are not for profit.
Right. Yeah, they definitely for profit.
Definitely. Because, CPS, and like any governmental agency, I just won't put it on CPS. Any governmental agency that gives services, they need money.
Mm-hmm.
Give you an example: the Marines, they need money. They have generals going to Congress asking for more and more money for different things.
Mm-hmm.
More men, more training, new equipment, new helicopters, whatever. Everybody wants the money. So CPS is no different. They want the money. They have to
Mm-hmm.
pay employees, they have to pay rent, they have to give training, they have to, do a lot of things. They have to give raises. So in order for them to compete, they got to get money.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big deal between not California, Riverside and San Bernardino. This is several years ago. San Bernardino County was going broke, the county in general. And I
Mm-hmm.
think they were in bankruptcy. I can't really remember. But a lot of San Bernardino County social workers were quitting and
Wow.
going to work for Riverside,
Wow.
because they're geographically close to each other. And, the social workers wanted good employment, good wages, wanted raises, wanted benefits, and they wanted to work for a county that wasn't going bankrupt.
Mm.
So they were leaving San Bernardino and going to Riverside. I think that's been resolved now, but it was a big thing. And for it seemed like a couple years, San Bernardino didn't have enough social workers to staff the cases.
Hmm.
You know, so it's when it comes down to it, the bottom line in America is the money. So they want to help you, Justin, but they also want money at the same time.
Right. Well,
See,
the thing is, I'm just not going. They can whatever they want. Just don't violate my rights. Like I said, if they want to, whatever they want to do with her, that's fine. Just when it comes to me, I'm gonna be very adamant on not violating my rights. I don't care what their policies are. I told them flat out. I've even submitted the California Consumer Privacy Protection Act clause, or like the documents for it. Say, hey, give me a copy of that report because or all of the information that you have, your emails, everything, because I don't want you guys to have it at the date of hearing. I don't want to have. I do not want to have any false claims on the record that misrepresent or could be trumped up and like just essentially misrepresenting my character.
right, and that can easily happen. Happens all the time to people.
I'll get their ass for defamation in because they're literally communicating false aspects that have the potential to bring about, damages to me. Like I shouldn't have
Right.
to live like in any type of alarmed environment when I'm here in the peace of my own home.
So, were there any other questions you wanted to ask me regarding CPS?
Just essentially, is there anything do you think that I have a logically, I mean, because once I get the evidence, everything will be clear and cut on the face of the law, from what I can tell based on the research. If I have a false claims report, if I have the proof that the social worker actually came here and searched me, and then I also have the proof that I asked for, like, I need to see what you guys are saying on the record about me in every other instance. Can I actually sue them?
You can. The question that you next have to ask is, if I sue them, will I win?
Right.
And then the next question you have to ask is, can I afford to sue them?
Hmm.
Because suing CPS is an expensive proposition.
Hmm.
And a lot of people I talk to, they want me to take the case on what's called a pure contingency fee basis.
Hmm.
But I try to tell them this is not a car accident case,
Hmm.
right? I'm not Jacoby and Myers, and uh, Jacoby and Myers will take your car accident case on a contingency fee because it's fairly not a complex area of law.
Mm-hmm.
Did the guy run into the back of you while you were at the red light? Oh yeah, okay, that's easy. That's
Mm-hmm.
easy to prove liability. And then it's easy to prove the damages because you got a doctor who's going to come in and say, oh, Vince can't walk anymore because he broke his leg in this car accident. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the insurance companies, they don't want to get hit for millions. So they're going to throw money at Vince and his attorney. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a car accident case usually works.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the interesting thing, and compare it. Justin, were your civil rights violated?
I believe
Well,
they were. But
okay.
my right of to
But
legal.
here
I'm
but
sorry. Go
but
ahead.
it's but that's not as clear cut as somebody running into the back of your car, is it? Okay.
Right.
That takes on a whole different analysis, whole different evidence. It's not clear cut. And then if your rights were violated, how much do you get? I don't see you have any broken legs. You know, I once followed a case. I wasn't involved in the case, but I followed a case that was in Nevada where a family sued CPS for violation of their civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
And after I think about a 2-week trial, they won. They won. And by the way, CPS fought it tooth and nail. All right. But the jury voted in their favor. But then the jury had to award damages. In other
Mhm.
words, how much should this family get? Guess how much the jury awarded the family?
How much?
It was either $1 or $100.
Wow.
If the family has to pay for the all of the costs of the lawsuit, they lost tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow. Why did
Okay.
they rule that way, or why did the jury do it that way if they, that there was clear or a clear trespass of the rights itself,
Well, I can tell you why. And a lot of people don't realize this. When you go to court, judges and juries don't rule all the time the way you think in your heart they should rule. There are a lot of different factors that come up. Obviously, for whatever reason, the jury didn't like this family.
Hmm.
Okay. Maybe they thought it wasn't as clear as they thought about the violations. Maybe the violations apparently were so minimal that they were only going to give them a minimal amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that you have the right kind of attorney and the right attorney with the right experience and training. I have to tell you something. I've been a lawyer about 39 years now. And when I was about, I think maybe an 18-year or 20-year attorney, I went to a training, okay? And it used to be called the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Since then, they've split into different organizations because of infighting. But I was actually in a small group with a man named Jerry Spence.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Spence is highly regarded as maybe the greatest trial lawyer of all time in America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the things I learned about when I was at the Trial Lawyers College is the presentation of evidence and the presentation of a story. You know, one lawyer could take a story and go to the jury and win $100. Another attorney could go to the jury and win with the same story, win $1 million. Why is it different? Well, it's different because of the skill of the lawyer. Well,
Presentation. Yeah.
right. I don't want you to think just because you know the law and because your rights are violated, that doesn't mean that you're going to win $1 million, right? Maybe you'll win $100, right? But don't think that it's automatic because you don't have a doctor coming in saying Justin's leg is broken and the jury can't see you with that broken leg. Many years ago, I was just telling this to someone I work with. Many, many years ago, I was a lawyer and I had a case in another county, Ventura County,
Mm-hmm.
and it was where my guy, my guy, ran a stop sign and was ejected from a car,
Wow.
and we wanted to take it to trial to get money. Okay, and every time I would go up there, whoever was judge was hearing the law in motion would make a snide comment about me. And I remember one time he said, "Oh, here's Mr. Davis. He's from Century City." At the time, my office was in Century City. You know, I'm up in Ventura. It was kind of a rural area at that time.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, here's Mr. Davis. He's late, of course." And I was.
Oh.
He's from Century City. His client ran a stop sign, and he wants millions of dollars.
Wow.
You know, just kind of making fun of me.
Right.
And we went to trial. Okay, we show up at trial, and I have another judge. I have a judge who is, what do they call him? He's basically the supervising judge, and he assigns your cases out.
Mm-hmm.
And he happened to be the only Democratic judge, you know, liberal judge in that county at that time. And at that time, they were having a big problem with trials because no criminal defense attorneys were taking deals. They were taking everything to trial, and criminal cases took precedence over civil and injury
Right.
cases.
Right.
So my guy, who was thrown from the car, is wheeled into the back of the courtroom. Okay. He's basically in a bed laying down. Okay. And this is how he communicated. That was yes. That was no.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So we go up to the judge, and the judge, because he doesn't have any courtrooms to send us to, right? He says, "Have you guys talked about settlement with Mr. Davis?" And he's looking at my client. And all of the defendants said, "No, you know, Mr. Davis doesn't have a case."
Oh.
And
Wow.
he said, "Well, I think Mr. Davis does have a case. And I suggest all of you go outside and throw some money at Mr. Davis, or I'm going to try this case."
Wow.
The only liberal judge in the whole county, right?
Wow.
I went outside and they threw money at me, right? So, you know, the result that you get is not what you think it's based upon. It's not based upon the law. There's a
Mm.
lot of other extenuating circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I learned at the Trial Lawyers College.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We spent almost a month talking about how to do trials. We rarely talked about the law.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, Jerry used to tell us, and a lot of the instructors used to tell us, forget about the law. Forget about everything that you learned in law school.
Really?
Yeah, it's not going to help you in a trial when you're trying to convince a judge and 12 jurors that you should win and how much money you should win.
Mm-hmm. Even
Okay?
if it's on the face of the law, I mean, they've just
See,
removed
there's no such,
Chevron deference. So
Justin, there's no such thing. No such
wow.
thing. You know, I'm going to tell you one other quick story. And this happened about the late 80s, early 90s, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of law school and I was working for a firm, and I was about to leave the firm and go open my own practice with my then wife, who happens to be a judge now.
Oh
But we
man.
were we were about to open up a law firm called Davis and Davis. And my partner that I worked for asked me, he said, "Could you stay on to help me do this trial, this last trial?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, I can. I can, you know, help a little bit." And this was the case. It was our client suing two or three insurance companies, and for something called bad faith.
Yeah.
And they had offered $150,000 to settle the case. And my partner, that my boss that I worked for, wanted more. All right. And he never settled the case, and he went to trial. After about 2 or 3 weeks of trial, the jury came back with a verdict for our client.
Hmm.
The verdict was $62 million.
Wow.
It was the second largest jury verdict of all time in California at that time.
Hmm.
Okay. The insurance companies, of course, are not accepting this, and they appeal it. During the appeal, they offered money to settle. And I don't remember the numbers offhand, but say they offered like 10 million to settle or something like that. It was rejected by my boss and the client.
Hmm.
All right. And on appeal, we won the appeal 2-1. Okay. So the $62 million plus interest now, because a year or two has gone by, still
Right.
stands, right? The insurance company said, "Yeah, this is a hard pill to swallow, and we're going to appeal this. We're going to seek an appeal, a writ, to the California Supreme Court,"
Oh man.
which they did. They took the case to the California Supreme Court, and during this time, they're offering more and more money to settle. And at one point, they had gotten up to $35 million. A lot of money. And I can remember my boss having a meeting with us, telling us that that wasn't sufficient. So he turned down the $35 million. Well, the California Supreme Court came out with a decision, and it was either 6-1 or 6-0, because I think one of the justices said he couldn't or she couldn't participate because of conflict of interest. But anyway, 6-0 or 6-1 decision against us. And
The jury's an asshole.
no, it wasn't the jury, it was the Supreme Court.
Oh wow.
And they
Okay.
did two things. They said, as a matter of law, our client deserved 0.
Wow.
62 million plus interest, 10% per year, goes to 0. And at the same time, they changed the law in California in favor of insurance companies, because at that time, insurance companies were threatening to leave the state because laws to sue them were so liberal.
Oh.
Okay.
Mm.
So they did those two things. My boss, I think he went on sabbatical for about 18 months. He
Hmm.
kind of lost it, right? Kind of lost it. Not only did he lose the money, millions, but
Damn.
everyone in that area of law, all the attorneys, were talking about him being such a fool because he turned down $35 million. He should have
Right.
taken the 35 and let the law stay the same, or you
Right.
could beat up insurance companies.
Right.
All that went away.
Right.
Okay. Now, this all happens maybe over a 3-year period. Okay. So, Justin, when you say, "Oh, even the law's for me," do you see what can happen in the law?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing. You
Yeah.
could get nothing. I had this is several years ago, but I had a what I believed was a slam dunk case against a social worker who I got to admit that she basically committed perjury in the juvenile court case.
Hmm.
I had a motion pending to strike her answer, which would have meant we would have won automatically. Just the question is how much we're going to win.
Hmm.
And they asked me to go to mediation again. At the first
Hmm.
mediation, they offered $10,000.
Hmm.
I then took the deposition, got the admissions from the social worker, and then they wanted to settle. Okay.
Hmm.
They started out with 50,000, 200,000, they worked their way up.
Right.
We go to mediation, and the mediator is a retired judge, kind of a famous retired judge, federal judge and state judge. And he came back with an offer from the other side for about, it was $999,000.99. Right? It was like a penny away from $1 million.
Right.
And he tells my client, "This is a great deal. You should take it. And I'm like, no way. You know, they
No.
better make that about $5 million,
Right.
right?
Right.
My client, the judge says to my client in front of me, Mr. Davis knows that if you go to trial, that a slam dunk case could end up getting you zero. And he turns to me and he says, isn't that true, Mr. Davis?
Oh, he throws you under the bus.
And I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
technically it's true, but I don't think it's going to happen in this case.
Right.
He says, but you can't guarantee your client that it won't happen, and you got $1 million on the table. Look, I don't know your client, but that's life-changing money for your client.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, $1 million, that's life-changing money. So my client said, well, Vince, since you can't guarantee that we're going to win, which is illegal, I'm going to probably have to take that $1 million.
Hmm.
And she took it.
Smart play.
Well,
Smart play.
I don't know. I don't know. Did we want to roll the dice for 5 million, or do we just want to accept the million? That's the type of thing of the 62 million I just told you about my old
Right.
boss,
Right.
right? So you're saying, Justin, you're sitting there thinking, well, I got the law on my side. That don't mean shit.
Hmm.
The question is, do you have the right attorney to do your case?
Right. Right.
Okay?
Well, that's why I called you up there, Mr. Davis. I was like, you locked on about it. I'm pretty much an autodidact. I like short of going to law school and passing the bar, like I think I can get in there and pretty much ace it because I've been over here like helping other veterans like with their cases and stuff, and I'm confident that like I've done enough due diligence with the discovery to get these things in place. Like I know for facts I can get the doctors at the VA to say, yes, he's experiencing distress around this. Who wouldn't be distressed
Right.
if
Right.
they're dealing with, a situation where they've never had it and they get pulled in and say, hey, by the way, this is your daughter, but we're going to come and harass you at the same time and try to make you into, I guess, not even an incompetent parent, but a parent that just basically putting her in danger. And I'm like, dude, that's so crap. Like, how do you guys say that you have her best interest? And I told, so this is what I'll do. This you got my word. I pick up what you're trying to put down. This is what I promise you there. I'm gonna continue with the discovery to see if there's anything else that comes up. I got the trial schedule or the rest of the hearing schedule for January. If they say or if they try to bring up any new type of claims or harassments or anything like that, I'm just going to just basically keep a running tab on all of this. And when I get to the end, it's no different than when I come up in the studio and say, hey, look, this is what your bill is. This is what happened on this date at this time. And I'll bring it back and present it in a case brief. And I will prove to you if there is anything else that comes up without a shadow of a doubt that we either one got for facts a strong case or two all of the evidence that basically corroborates exactly what I'm trying to show because it's not even just that I'm doing this for just myself, but I don't think that anybody in this, especially if it's a matter of principles and rights at this point. They say we're here. The reason I take this passionately, I fought for this country. The last thing I want to be is a person that's on the receiving side of some injustice when I didn't even do anything wrong. I can understand totally if I screwed up. I can understand if, for whatever reason, the judge or the social workers having a bad day and they just wanted to come in there and you know put my feet to the fire for screwing up, but that's not the case here. And so I shouldn't be living in any type of alarming situation where somebody think that they can come up and search me, search my house, you know come in here like claiming one thing, like they want to see if my daughter's safe, and then they see that, but then in the midst of that, they try to act or they overstep their powers and say, "Oh, well, let me search this, let me search that, let me search this." No way. I'm very adamant on why I even wake up, and part of this is like my purpose. It's like I didn't go to combat. I didn't, go through hell and experience all of those hardships to come back and have people using a process that they're saying that they stand up for and swear in to do the right thing about to abuse it. You
You
know.
know, earlier you said something, and I'm not sure everyone would appreciate this saying. You said you called some social workers habitual line crossers.
Right, habitual line steppers, Rick James style. That's
So
really what it was.
so where did you hear that?
That's okay. So you remember on the Chappelle show, they were talking about this story where Rick James and Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy were together, and he said, "Man, when you with Rick James and you in the club, wherever he is at," Charlie Murphy was saying this. He was like, "Rick James is a habitual line stepper." So we basically had to look. We had to check him, and I beat up his legs. And
So
that's what he said with Charlie Murphy. Said, what about my legs? What about my legs? It's like, fuck your couch, fuck your couch. And so we had to beat up his legs. We had to teach him a lesson.
you know, in around June or July of this year, I went and saw a musical about the life and times of Rick James.
Hmm.
It was one of the best musicals I've ever seen. And I learned a lot about Rick James that I didn't know before.
Hmm.
He was a true musician.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
he invented that sound.
Hmm.
He was doing other stuff, rock and stuff like that way
Hmm.
before he developed his sound. And the unfortunate part about his life, he also had, that disease, um,
Wait,
drug
what
disease.
disease? I didn't know he had disease. I thought it was something
Well,
he died from.
I call drug abuse a disease.
Hmm.
Mm. A lot of people don't call it. They believe that it's free will, and I don't believe that. I believe
Hmm.
that people that truly have a drug addiction, that it's a disease like cancer. Like
Hmm.
if you told me, "Hey, man, I got cancer," well, how can I blame you for that? Did you eat the wrong thing? Did you hang out with uh, under power lines? Who knows?
Hmm.
But you got it right. But
Hmm.
if I were to say to you, "Oh," people say, "Oh, you're a drug addict." They're like, you're just a bad person, right? I don't think that's it. I think that is actually a disease, like cancer that people are trying to battle.
Hmm.
And I don't believe everyone can win that battle, unfortunately. You probably don't know this about me, but I had a son who passed away from a drug overdose at the age of 27.
Oh wow, sorry to
Yeah.
hear about that.
And through his journey, I went to a lot of counseling and group counseling and programs with him, and I learned a lot about about drug addiction that I didn't know.
Hmm.
And I was an adult. I was in my 50s, right? I thought, you know everything about it. Kind of grew
Hmm.
up in the neighborhood, you see people using drugs, you make all of these judgment decisions,
Hmm.
and it's not. I believe, in my opinion, that as decades go by, we will classify drug addiction as a disease, not a lack of character. Which
Hmm.
in the justice system, we kind of treat it as a lack of character.
Hmm.
And if you had cancer, we wouldn't take away your kids. But if
Right.
you have a drug problem, we're taking your kids.
Right. Right.
Okay, that doesn't make sense. But okay, you know, um, time will tell, and the decades will go by, and we'll learn more and more about the human being. And I think we will finally find out that it is a disease. More, you know, some people are more susceptible to it than others,
Hmm.
just like cancer, right? So, so I
I know my uncle really was. I had a lot of grace in the Marine Corps. I think I don't really have no addictions necessary. Well, if you count like women, but like that be the only. Yeah, it is not even. I wouldn't even say that it's an addiction. It's more so just like being in the movies, like being on the front of like the set, and my master's is in public relations, so I'm in front of the cameras. I'm in front of like I'm on the scene a lot of the times,
right.
and so with my business partner, like we were Like we literally, I was engaged to her and everything. It just, she came out here after I met her. I met her in Georgia. I moved from Georgia with her. I sold my studio out there. She came out here and just snaked me. She's originally from San Diego, and so it just, man, it's like it's really ugly. But we are literally got a judge on the hook right now for like 15 million. So I'm just over it, man. It's the Marine, the other Marine that's dealing with his child support case right down the street. And so we got a judge on the hook for that. And so he's literally violating his rights. Is in federal court right now.
Wow. Does he have a lawyer?
I No, he's doing it all pro se. But I'm taking notes on him. I said, bro, like you just 2 years and you're getting 15 million for this, bro. I've been dealing with my crap for like down there going on 6. I said, can we share some notes here? Because like I've got between I'm the American Legion first vice commander down here, so it's pretty much like the mayor for like vets and stuff in this area. And I told the judge, well, I didn't tell the judge, but I told like all of the people, even DCCS, I told him, I said, bro, I'm a public officer, just no different than like a judge in here. And so, but the issue is, if you're allowing people to come in here with no evidence and make a claim against somebody's character and it causes them damages or in some way causes them distress, I said that's clear defamation. I said we need to examine the facts here. Nothing she claimed on record is actually grounded. So I did a motion for judicial notice and a motion to vacate the void order because I got them dead to rights. I'm just trying to, once I get this case closed, I'm literally gonna go back for the probably the federal lawsuit, and I'm definitely gonna have more on them.
Okay. Well, if you need any assistance or consult, give me a call. Okay.
I got you. You already know it, Mr. Davis. Hey, it's going down. I'm definitely gonna hit you up. You listen. You have my contact information. I'm on LinkedIn everywhere. Like this is. I'm literally having to do reverse PR because I don't post things now. Is because they were at one point using it to like trump up false claims in the court, and then the court was like, they could have been like, yeah, he's on Mars right now doing jumping jacks, they would have believed it. You know what I mean? So, so I said, okay, this is a kangaroo court or something. And so, as much as I haven't actually gone to law school, like it literally makes me consider it. I've been considering
You should.
SDSU. I've been
You
considering
should.
UCLA.
You
Yeah, but
should
the thing
consider
is,
it.
you can't be emotional, and I get very heated, especially when I know that it's something that on the face of what the law says, like if you do judicial notice, like everybody should know that these laws exist, but they just have amnesia somehow. And they were using these organizations, these departmental organizations are using Chevron deference, or they still think that they can use Chevron deference, and they don't have that anymore. And so I've been tearing into them, you know.
All right. Well, Justin, thank you for coming on, being
You
a
know it
guest
for sure. It's
here,
been a pleasure.
and keep in touch. All right.
I definitely will.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, you take it easy, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right. If you want to be on office hours with me, please contact Grace at vincentwdavis.com or call this number. Oh, 888-888-6582. Grace just put a message up there, and I'm sorry I missed it. But we're going to be trying to have office hours every day, sometimes more than once a day. So contact Grace if you have a question that you need to be answered. We'll bring you on for a short office hour show. Usually these shows, office hours are, 20 minutes or so. This one went, we're at 54 minutes already. So we're way over, but yeah, it's only a short show. You come on, you ask your question, I answer it, give you some examples, and then we'll do that. One major announcement I wanted to make, we are in the process of developing a workbook and checklists for parents in CPS cases. And it will be divided into the different modules, and you can follow your case along, get tips from the workbook and checklists of what motions or things that you should be doing and not doing. And you can keep, print that workbook out, because I think it's going to be coming out in PDF. Print it out and just keep it in a notebook for you to use during your case. All right. Well, Grace, I want to thank you for coming on Thanksgiving Day for part of this show doing the office hours. And Grace, let's find a guest and let's do office hours tomorrow. All right? All right, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.